With record numbers of Tunisians leaving their homeland, experts say the exodus reflects a growing despair of an unraveling democracy and foundering economy.
Nigeria's new landing ship, the NNS Kada, takes center stage in the Nigeria leg of the largest multinational maritime exercise in Western and Central Africa.
Drones take to the seas. The discovery of the endurance shipwreck in Antarctic waters has hobbyists plunging into the world of underwater drones.
Hello and thanks for tuning into the show that goes around the continent to bring you stories near and far. I'm Trey Belanoso at Channels Television here in Abuja. I'm joined by Vincent Makori at Voice of America in Washington.
Thanks, I'm Vincent Makori at the Voice of America. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Let's start off with the latest from Nigeria. Chamberlain Uso in Abuja brings you that story.
The Nigeria leg of the largest multinational maritime exercise in Western and Central Africa has begun in Lagos on Nigeria's new landing ship, the NNS Kada. The exercise, in its 13th year, has grown from 9 participating countries to over 30. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo, who was present at the ceremony, attributed the drastic reduction in maritime insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea to the exercise over the years.
It's a small restricted crowd aboard the NNS Kada, performing perhaps its first assignment on Nigerian waters since its return from a voyage to Guinea-Bissau in August last year. The special occasion is a flag-off ceremony of exercise Obangame Expres 2023 at the Naval Dockyard in Lagos. Special guests are the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Jeffrey Onyama, the U.S. Consul General in Lagos, Will Stevens, the Commander U.S. 6th Fleet, Vice Admiral Thomas Ishe, the Flag Officer Commanding of Nigeria's Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Yakubu Wambai, senior naval officers, sister maritime agencies, and members of the diplomatic corps. The Chief of Naval Staff, while hailing the achievements of Obangame exercise over the years, says this year's events will not only further secure the Gulf of Guinea, but would contribute greatly to the African Union's Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
The exercise is designed to improve regional collaboration through joint operations, intelligence sharing, and harmonized legal frameworks to enhance collective capabilities of Gulf of Guinea nations against maritime crimes. This year's exercise is particularly instructive, considering efforts of the African Union at establishing and operationalizing regional task forces. This will no doubt enhance the African Continental Free Trade Agreement as well as development of sustainable blue economy, which of course is the future of the world.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs reiterated the knock-on effect of maritime security on Nigeria's economy and the international partnerships, as well as the President's commitment to it.
We're extremely delighted to hear from, becoming a real global black spot, the Gulf of Guinea, that it's almost is virtually zero now, zero piracy. President Muhammadu Buhari also attaches great importance to securing the Gulf of Guinea and making it a zone to promote trade. It's reckoned that the resources of the oceans, we still haven't even started to tap and to benefit from those resources.
For the United States government, Obangame exercise is part of a long-standing comprehensive strategy by the U.S. government to provide collaborative opportunities among African forces and international partners to address maritime security.
We don't just need African solutions to African problems. We need African solutions to global problems. And the issues that we're facing today and that we're dealing with in this exercise, counter-narcotics, piracy, IUU, these are global issues and global problems, and they don't just hit the Gulf of Guinea, they hit East Africa, they hit the Caribbean. And one of the great things about exercises like this is you learn quickly where the integration isn't happening and how you can work together to integrate, because only when we work together as governments and within governments can we really work on these thorny issues.
There are 33 nations across 4 continents participating in this year's exercise. Obangame is a brainchild of the U.S. Africa Command, part of the U.S. Naval Forces Europe and U.S. Naval Forces Africa, which for more than 80 years has forged strategic partnerships with allies and partners to preserve security and stability.
Could you give us some background on exercise Obangame, the objective of the operations and details of this year's exercise?
Okay, exercise Obangame is a multinational exercise that was conceptualized in the year 2010, and the first in the series of exercises was began in year 2011. Obangame on his own is a word from a tribe in Cameroon, the Fang tribe, and it means togetherness. Now, by 2010, there had been a series of massive illegalities that is being committed in the maritime areas, particularly at the Gulf of Aden, which was being put under check, and same was being transferred to the Gulf of Guinea. So the navies around that time felt for them to be able to curb that scourge, there has to be something that will bring us together. But then we are operating different procedures. So Obangame was conceptualized to be able to bring us into one platform that will give us common protocols and procedures to be able to work together as a team within the Gulf of Guinea.
Now, are there lessons to be learned from this exercise?
There are lots of lessons to be learned. That is to sit back and hear what went wrong or what we did right, to be able to take back to each and every country for us to be able to implement as to how we should be able to continue to work together as a team. For instance, about 6-7 countries participated, has been able to bring all these countries together into one place, and each serial of the exercise was relayed and played. What we have to do is that no country can work in silo. The word Obangame must continue to be, as no one country can do it alone, we have to all do it together.
So one more thing, how do you think the Western countries, Western African countries and Africa can learn from this?
What we have seen is, with what we are doing, Western countries have also learned that working together brings more synergy. And when there's synergy, there's economy of effort. When there's economy of effort, there's definitely going to be more results. To this end, in this exercise, right now within our waters, in the dock, we have 2 ships one from United States Coast Guard and another from Spain. And at every point in time, they have been around with us. The take home for them is everybody must work together, just like the word Obangame portrays, and the motto of the Nigerian Navy, which has always been and will still remain almost together. We have to work as a team. We have to work as a whole of society. It should be a whole of society approach in everything that we do, particularly in fighting maritime crime.
Rear Admiral Yakubu Wambai, thank you for joining us on Africa 54.
Thank you very much, Chamberlain.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. After the break, the global influence of African nations will examine the significance of recent visits from Chinese, Russian, and American officials. Welcome back. to Africa 54. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Top Chinese, Russian and American officials have been scrambling to visit nations in Africa, the world's fastest growing continent. As several U.S. officials, while in Africa, walked a fine line between their desire for Africa's support against Russia, aggression and Chinese ambitions, and their promise to do work that benefits the continent. VOA's Anita Powell reports from Washington.
Top Chinese, Russian, and American officials have in past weeks flocked to Africa in what they say is a quest to build deeper partnerships. President Joe Biden said last month that he, too, plans to visit this year. Washington says this is not about countering Russian and Chinese ambitions, but about building meaningful relationships in areas such as business, health, and peace and security.
At the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit, the United States sees African countries as genuine partners and wants to build relationships based on mutual respect.
But the continent's top diplomat says Africa, which was brutally colonized by European powers for centuries, is no one's pawn. And he added, China understands that.
We are open to cooperation and partnership with everyone, as long as they respect our principles, our priorities, and our interests. The partnership we have with China is built on these principles.
But as the most senior visiting U.S. official said recently, these great power rivals are keenly aware of one another's activities, especially as China and Russia flex their muscles globally.
Many African countries are now plagued by high and unsustainable debt, and that's undeniably a problem, and much of it is related to Chinese investments in Africa. So I think that's simply a factual statement, but this is not for us, this is not a competition with China. We want to deepen our engagement with Africa.
Analysts say these two goals, real partnership but also great power competition, are not mutually exclusive. Analysts estimate that China has spent more than $1 trillion on its global Belt and Road Initiative, which builds infrastructure in the developing world. China maintains a strict stance of non-interference in other countries' internal affairs. During his first trip on the job, China's new foreign minister rejected the notion of Africa as an ideological battleground, as it often was during the Cold War.
No country, no people have the right to force African countries and its people to take sides.
Biden has framed the conflict in Ukraine as a struggle between democracies and autocracies. With Africa showing clear signs of democratic backsliding, Hudson wonders whether Biden will keep those ideals in front on African soil.
Or will he kind of ignore that or put that on a back burner so that he can build relationships that might advantage Washington at the UN or down the road politically?
So will the president pack principle or practicality or both when he makes the trip? Anita Powell, VOA News, Washington.
A young Nigerian inventor and embedded systems engineer, Oluwatobi Oyinlola, has built a solar-powered outdoor workstation called Solar Porcher to aid working outside. According to Oluwatobi, who is a graduate of Tai Solarin University of Education in Ogun State, Solar Porcher provides users with internet, stable electricity, and seating spaces.
Oluwatobi Oyinlola is a telecommunications graduate of Tai Solarin University of Education in Ijagun, Ijebu-Ode area of Ogun State. The young tech genius, also an embedded systems engineer, has over the years been making his mark in the industry by providing Internet of Things solutions, as he is fondly called Internet of Toby among his peers. But Toby, despite his wins, is determined to continue to make an impact in his society, especially his alma mater.
Solar Porcher gives you three things: power, internet, and a space to work.
Solar Porcher is an outdoor solar charging station that provides off-grid clean energy to power mobile and portable devices, LED lighting, Wi-Fi, and IoT booking capabilities in the form of a canopied table with seating. Building Solar Porcher came naturally to Toby with his background in IoT, and so within a space of about 3 months, he built the workstation using materials readily available to him.
The materials were sourced locally. It was constructed in Ibadan. I was able to get a few technicians to work together to kind of physically build the whole workstation. it was COVID period. We couldn't source anything from outside Nigeria, so we have to use all the materials that are available in Nigeria. For example, the IoT parts, there's no way to do printed circuit board outside Nigeria during COVID. So I hand soldered everything, just with my hand. So which makes it more difficult, but then we're able to deliver the job, and that's really important.
Toby built the workstation for his university, and with the help of the school's administration, he was able to position it at a strategic point. Accessing the functions of the station can only be done via a booking system on the school's portal.
For a student, a qualified student, of course they have a matric number, so automatically it's integrated to their school portal. They only need to go to the school website, which is workstation.whatever school, like Taisholari, and then book like the workstation. They have only 2 hours a day using the power of sun. It's free. It makes it even more important for us to use solar panel. We don't want to use the normal because it's not even always available. It's not constant. But for this, it's always going to be available. It's one of the reasons why we decided to use solar, and of course environmental reason as well.
Oluwatobi used his personal funds for this project, but hopes to get partnerships from schools and organizations that want workspaces within their environment. Toby was on the engineering team working on Elon Musk's Hyperloop and has invented over 15 IoT-enabled hardware products, many with a mission to change the world.
It is time now for a short break, and as we do, we remind you to visit our website, channelstv.com, for news and programming around the clock. You can also find us at youtube.com/channelsweb. Still to come, a Lagos art exhibition showcasing food preservation methods could reignite practice of food dehydration. A Nigerian artist hopes to reduce the challenges of storing food.
Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent Makori in Washington. Rights groups say Tunisians are leaving their homeland in numbers not seen since the North African country's revolution 12 years ago. The exodus reflects a growing despair of a democratic experiment that has floundered and hope for a better future in Europe. Lisa Bryant reports from the southern Tunisian fishing city of Zassis, an immigration hotspot and graveyard.
Walid Zridat left home one Wednesday in September and never came back.
We didn't get a call from him on Thursday saying, "Dad, I've arrived in Lampedusa." Same thing Friday.
Father Salim Zridat discovered his son was one of 18 young Tunisians on a boat bound for Italy that disappeared off the coast of Zarzis. Local fishermen and the Coast Guard eventually found 8 bodies, but never Walid's.
We went out from 7 in the morning to 8 at night looking. We went everywhere. We didn't find the bodies in the sea, but on land.
Families and supporters of the missing have staged protests and this ongoing sit-in denouncing what they claim was the state's slow rescue response. President Kais Saied has called for answers, but that won't bring back Walid Zridat.
He would always talk about going to Italy. All the boys here do. This generation, everyone will leave because there's nothing here.
We've had record migration numbers this year. We now have 2 migration routes via Italy and Serbia.
Ala Talbi's group advocates for migrants' rights. It estimates nearly 40,000 Tunisians have arrived in Europe this year. Nearly 30,000 were intercepted by Tunisian coast guards. Hundreds of others are dead or missing.
Migration today isn't just a question of young people with college degrees or the unemployed. It increasingly affects everyone. All kinds of people want to leave Tunisia.
Behind those spiking numbers is a country soured by post-revolution politics that failed to deliver better lives. Tunisia's unemployment stands at nearly 20%. Only 1 in 10 eligible voters participated in elections this month that were boycotted by most political parties. Many Tunisians are leaving. Even Balsam Hamid, who was deported from France this year as an illegal migrant. His cousin and best friend count among Zarzis's victims.
There's a black future here in Tunisia. That's why I'm thinking of trying to return to France, to Europe, even to China, anywhere but Tunisia.
Zarzis is also a stopover for sub-Saharan Africans, similarly seeking a better life. They work informal jobs here to earn money for their clandestine passage to Europe.
It's not easy, but you just have to do it just to succeed, achieve what you want in life.
But the fate of Walid and other would-be migrants here underscores the enormous risks of setting sail, and for some, there's no second chance. Lisa Bryant for VOA News, Zarzis, Tunisia.
A Nigerian artist is taking a big step in ensuring that he fills the gap between the farms and the table to lessen the struggles of people when storing food. To show that he means business, he organized an art exhibition in Iwaya, Lagos State, to showcase food preservation methods and reignite the culture of food dehydration. Take a look.
Nigerian artist Olufela Omokeko is using exhibitions to ignite conversations on the importance of food preservation in a country where nearly half of the food produced gets spoiled due to lack of quick access to markets and cold chain logistics. During a recent exhibition in Iwaya, a slum in commercial capital Lagos, guests had a taste of his puree from dried tomatoes and peppers as he showcased age-old traditions on how to extend the shelf life of perishable food.
Exhibition is the possibility of creation using materials that are not constantly used by artists, and also the place of food. How can we preserve our food?
Nicknamed son of a pepper seller, Omokeko grew up seeing women who sell perishables at their homes or at the market throw away their wares because it quickly rotted. That problem remains as evident in the almost spoiled peppers in the market. Omokeko is reminding Nigerians of how to dry and blend food to preserve its lifespan while also maintaining same taste.
For me as an artist, I ask myself, how can I also reflect the rise in price of goods and also scarcity of goods that we experienced last year, particularly during the flood period, and also the Ukraine and Russia war that caused increase in price.
His pieces, consisting of okra, red and green peppers, are mounted on boards. Local spices that can be infused while blending the peppers are seen hanging on ropes from the ceiling, while already dehydrated and blended exhibits are seen in transparent bottles. There's a wide belief that vegetables are better when fresh, but Omokeko hopes that taking his exhibition will make people understand that proper dehydration will still keep nutrients intact, inhibit the growth of bacteria, and maintain the same great taste.
As they overcome the challenges of operating in water, underwater drones are becoming more available for hobbyists, researchers, and public agencies. Eugenia Dulot reports.
Jesuit Robotics, a high school robotics team from Sacramento, California, has been designing remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, for more than a decade.
We developed the grippers ourselves. The cameras are modularly adjustable buoyancy systems.
Jesuit Robotics recently exhibited its underwater drone at a competition in Long Beach, California. Called the Manatee, this underwater drone can map shipwrecks or work on environmental projects.
We have our custom AI detection software. Our bottom gripper helps us restore seagrass beds.
Entrancing many, the recent discovery by ROV of the Endurance, which sank in Antarctic waters in 1915. That effort cost an estimate $10 million. ROVs have been slow to take off among hobbyists, however. Several startup companies are making design changes and adding technology to make drones work better underwater and reduce cost. Blue Robotics, a Los Angeles firm, works on waterproofing underwater drone parts, such as the thruster, which propels the ROV in the right direction, and has added various sensors measuring temperature, pressure, and depth.
Instead of trying to protect the motor from the water, why don't we make a waterproof motor?
And so that's really the innovation here.
These new underwater drones cannot go to the deep sea, but they are being used in conditions unsafe for human divers and by hobbyists, says Fritz Starr, an ocean technology expert.
The ability for everybody or more people to be that explorer, to be that person who understands what's going on in their local environment is really important.
Unlike aerial drones, technology has yet to solve the problem of underwater communications. For now, these drones are controlled by a tether. Genia Dulo for VOA News, Los Angeles.
Well, and that's our show for today. You can find all the continent's top news and world news online at voaafrica.com. Check it out. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Channels Television has our last word.
We look forward to bringing you another show next week. ChannelTV.com is your source for local news, sports, and programming, and everything in Nigeria. I'm Chamberlain Osor. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.